Okay, so it's 12 p.m. We'll get started. Welcome everyone to the presentation about the International Atomic Energy Agency, short for IAEA. My name is Vishesh Sanasi. I'm the president of the NAYGN Durham chapter. I also work at Ontario Power Generation in the Energy Markets Department, and I'll be your event host for today. I know we got people signing in from a different region across Ontario today. Got people from Bruce, from Chalk River, from the Greater Toronto area. So glad to have everyone on board with us today. And just for those who are joining for their first NAYGN event or who haven't heard about NAYGN, I just want to take 1 or 2 minutes to explain what our organization do. First, NAYGN is short for North American Young Generation in Nuclear. And basically, we are a young generation group and we have over 100 plus chapters across North America. And I'm part of the Durham chapter. And what we do, we love advocating for nuclear energy. And we do that through different initiatives. We do professional development sessions, such as the one today. We do public outreach by going to schools and universities. We do social and networking events, and we also do community outreach. So plenty of ways that you can get involved with us. And if you stay till the end of the presentation, I'll speak about some of the future events that we have and how you can get involved with us. But most importantly today, we got the IAEA with us, and we got Ashok Ganeshan from Vienna today, who will speak about IAEA's role and its support to the nuclear industry. I know for us it's lunchtime. Hopefully you have a good lunch with you, but for Ashok it's almost dinner time, 6 p.m. in Europe right now. So just before passing it on over to you, Ashok, just wanted to tell you about 2 housekeeping rules for everyone. First, if you haven't muted yourself, make sure you are muted. And second, if you have any questions along the presentation, 2 ways you could ask your question. First, you can post it in the chat, and at the end of the presentation, I will read it to Ashok. Or second, you can wait till the end of the presentation, use the raise your hand tool in MS Teams, and then I will call you on to ask your question to Ashok. With that, I will hand it over to Ashok. Very glad to have you again with us today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Vishesh. And it's good afternoon to all of you in Canada. And as Vishesh said, it's 6 p.m. in Vienna time. I'm very happy to be presenting about the roles and support the IAEA provides to its member states. It's a short presentation, say about 40 minutes. I'm planning to complete it and then leave the rest of the 20 minutes for question and answer at the end. So let me quickly jump into the presentation here. So So the aim of this short presentation is to introduce you all to the IAEA as an organization and the support and services it provides to its member states in terms of nuclear power development. So that's the main focus is on the nuclear power development. So let me begin with a short video, 3 minutes video. It tells about what the IAEA is doing. This is another internal video. You can find it in, I'm sure, in YouTube and other social media sites. And it tells you comprehensively what the IAEA is doing. Sorry, it's playing again now. Okay, so that's a short video comprehensively captures the various activities the International Atomic Energy Agency is doing. And you can see here the Director General of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi, and he says, the agency is a formidable institution that deals with issues of war and peace, of human health, of energy, food and water, and fundamental concerns of all the human beings. So you can think about it now. This was said, I think, more than a year ago. But I'm now, when I look back, now today we are also dealing with some issues coming out of the Ukraine and Russian war. So I think it helps in that sense as well. We will as we move up, we will know how we support in the various domains. Okay. So some historical milestones, you know that in 1930, almost 100 years ago, the nuclear fission reaction, or the chain reaction, was discovered in 1930. And the IAEA was formed in 1957. The statute entered into force in 1957 for the International Atomic Energy Agency. So the main reason there is something which happened between 1930 and 1957 is the nuclear bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan, and the world witnessed the huge disaster that a nuclear weapon can make to the humankind. So that's a main reason that the IAEA was formed in 1957, to prevent, or to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons in the world. And 2005 is the Nobel Prize, and that's for the recognition of the service the IAEA has done. And the 2014 is an important activity. You can see here it is RENUAL, RENUAL. This means the renovation of nuclear application laboratories. I'll talk about these nuclear application laboratories that the IAEA has in different places a little bit later, and how it supports the member states. A major initiative was taken in 2014 to renovate the laboratories because they were using some old equipments and technologies, and the infrastructure was the infrastructure was totally renewed since 2014. I think it's in the final stage, and all the laboratories are in having the state-of-the-art expertise now. And 2015 is the roadmap for the clarification of the past and present. This is with respect to the Iran issues. There was the IAEA plays a central role to make sure that countries do not make nuclear weapons, and in this regard, there was an agreement made with the European parties and the United States and the Iran, and that is continuing now. And you all know that how that is going on now, a lot of activities in that sense. And about the 2015 LUE Bank, the LUE Bank is the Low Enriched Uranium Bank. The IAEA started this activity almost 7 years ago. The main idea of the LUE Bank is to provide an assurance of last resort and a physical reserve for eligible IAEA member states. Physical reserve of what? The low enriched uranium, which is the nuclear fuel used in many reactors. So to make sure that in case there is a situation that a nuclear reactor is not getting the required low enriched uranium for producing energy, in that case, this can be used, and there are rules and regulations who can receive these, and so a lot of formalities. But the idea is to make sure that an assurance is to provide assured supply of nuclear fuel to needed member states in case of some supply chain issues for getting those fuel. So this is storing about, I think, about 90 metric tons of uranium in Kazakhstan. This is located in Kazakhstan, and the IAEA manages this low enriched uranium bank. And the 90 tons can supply to a big city like Toronto for about 3 years. The energy needs of a big city like Toronto for 3 years. That's the volume of material stored in the LUE bank. Okay. Moving on. So about IAEA, we are having 175 countries are members to the IAEA as of the March 2022. And the headquarters is in Vienna, and there are 2,500 plus staff approximately working. And we are from 100 different countries. They are truly multi, people from multiple countries work in this organization here. And we also have laboratories. I told you the nuclear application laboratories, and in Cybersdorf, which is about an hour drive from the main Vienna city. We also have another lab in Monaco, that's south of France. And also we have a regional offices, one in Toronto. I'm sure many of you may be aware of this. And one in Tokyo. The two regional offices, one in Toronto and Tokyo, are mainly to support the safeguard inspections, the non-proliferation inspection that the IAEA does. There is a central office in Toronto and Tokyo to minimize the travel. Mainly these regional offices are created. And also we have liaison office in New York and also in Geneva. As an organization, the highest boss of the organization is our Director General, and they have a Director General office and the Secretariat of the policy making organs. They all report to the Director General, including the legal affairs, the public information and communication, and also the internal oversight services. But the main departments that the IAEA has is 6 departments. Number 1 is nuclear energy, to which I also belong to. The idea is to help countries which are pursuing nuclear energy programs, whether it is a new nuclear energy program or an established nuclear energy program. The nuclear energy department supports those member states. And the second department deals with nuclear science and applications. You can say this is all the non-energy applications, including medical, agriculture, and so on. All those nuclear science and applications, they are dealt by this department. And third one is the nuclear safety and security. And IAEA is the highest level organization in the world which deals with nuclear safety and security. And it supports all the member states. The counterparts in the member state is the regulatory bodies. So they look at IAEA for references, and also they look at IAEA for the standards and setting the higher standards in terms of nuclear safety and security. So they are very important sections, the nuclear safety and security for the member states. And the fourth one is the safeguards. I told you one of the main purpose of the forming the IAEA was to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. So that is the goal of the safeguards department, is to make sure that the materials used by member states are only for peaceful purposes, not for the weapon programs or non-peaceful activities. So the safeguards department deals with those type of actions. And the technical cooperation is another department. This is a department which takes the services, what the service, all these departments, nuclear energy, nuclear applications, nuclear safety, they have many programs. It could be training, or it could be a fellowship, or it could be conferences, or it could be some new technology. But how to take these deliverables to the member states. So the technical cooperation essentially works to deliver the outputs of IAEA to all the member states in a systematic way. And the last department is management, that manages the entire IAEA organization. Okay. So in terms of the policy making organs for the IAEA, there are two big bodies. The number one is the Board of Governors. On the right side, you can see here the Board of Governors. There are 35 board of governors at any time. So they are represented from 35 member states. And they keep changing, and maybe in a period of maybe 1 or 2 years, they on a rotational basis, every member state gets an opportunity to serve for the Board of Governors, and they meet 5 times a year, and they examine the IAEA's financial statements and programs and budget, and they also approve the safeguard agreements that we have with the member state. And also they also approve the publication of safety standards. The safety standards are the documents produced by the IAEA, which are used as the standards for setting the national standards by many member states for their nuclear power program or nuclear applications, or for the safety of those materials. And if you come back to the General Conference, this is another policy making organ, which is the highest one, which meets once per year, and usually it happens in September. We are now preparing for it now. It's going to happen in the last week of September. All the 175 member states represent the General Conference. The highest nuclear authority, usually from each country, represent as a member to the General Conference. And some countries, like big countries like Canada, USA, Japan, they send a big delegation of representatives to participate in this General Conference. So it's a huge event and a very important event, which makes which approves the policies and also the budgets and programs of the IAEA. And also it decides on the other issues raised by the Board of Governors, and the Board of Governors makes some issues, and the General Conference makes the decision finally on those issues. And the main areas of work in order to make this presentation more simple and clear to you, you can see here the IAEA works on 3 domains. The first one is on the science and technology, which means the nuclear science and technology, and we also work on the nuclear safety and security. And the third area is the safeguards and the verification of nuclear materials. So I will briefly in my upcoming slides, I will explain you what are these science and technology or safety and security and also safeguards activities. In terms of nuclear science and technology, the IAEA provides support and assistance to 147 countries. You may be wondering, there are 175 member states, why only we provide support to 147 countries or territories? It's mainly because, all the countries do not seek the support from IAEA, although they are member of IAEA. For example, countries like Canada or USA, they are well-developed nations. They don't need support from IAEA. They rather provide support to the IAEA and also provide support to other member states through IAEA. So we call the technical cooperation recipient countries and non-recipient countries. So these 147 countries have requested IAEA. They want support from IAEA. So that's why they only receive these support from IAEA. And also, as I told you, the Technical Cooperation Department serves as a major vehicle to transfer the nuclear science and technology to all these 147 member states. And to something I want to talk about here, sustainable development goals. I'm sure you heard about these World Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 goals, sustainable development goals, the United Nations have identified to make sure that the development happens in the world in a sustainable way. So out of these 17 sustainable goals, the IAEA makes direct contribution to 9 of them. You can see here, and some of them is, climate action. You agree with me that number 13, the sustainable goal, is the climate actions. So to prevent the buildup of carbon oxides and the further warming up of the earth. So the nuclear is contributing substantially. So IAEA is one of the key contributors for action item number 13. And also you can see it's so small, I'm not able to read them. There is alleviation of poverty and accessibility to clean water, access to clean water. All these goals are related to sustainable development around the globe, particularly for developing countries. And in terms of now coming to the one of the domains, the nuclear science and technology, and the IAEA delivers to the member states in 5 different areas under nuclear science and technology. This means mainly on the nuclear applications. The first one is food and agriculture. So this is to ensure that food security and sustainable agricultural development. And also the second area is the human health. So how to use the nuclear and radiation applications for diagnosis and treatment of diseases and also to nutrition. And the third one is the science and industry, how nuclear technologies can be used in industry. It could be for non-destructive examinations or it could be for other nuclear applications in the industry. And the fourth one is water resources. It also the nuclear science and technology, how to use them for making cleaner water accessible to more and more people. Many countries in Africa and also in Asia, and maybe possibly in some Latin American countries, access to clean water is not possible. So how to make it accessible using nuclear techniques is some of the activities the IAEA has been helping. And the last one is the environment, mainly to protect the environment, the use of nuclear applications. We will elaborate them in the upcoming slides. So as I told you here, we have one laboratory in Vienna that is within the Vienna office in the city. That is mainly for the water resources, the isotope hydrology laboratory. And 8 laboratories are there in Seibersdorf to support these activities. The one for food and agriculture and for human health and also for nuclear science and environment. And there are 3 laboratories in Monaco, which is in south of France. And that's only one laboratory for marine environment monitoring and also supporting those activities. Okay, so to give you an idea of how these nuclear applications can be useful for all these different areas like agriculture, medical, and so on. Here I listed some few examples here. The number one is the insect pests. This is there are some insects which cause more damage to the crops and also cause some diseases and also causes more problems to the human life in many countries. So in partnership with the Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO, the IAEA laboratories have developed a kind of new technique. It's called sterile insect technique, SIT. So this is mainly to prevent the insects like could be mosquitoes, or it could be fruit flies, or screwworm, and many other types. How to remove them from causing harmful effects to the world sustainable food and agriculture industry. You know, it works like this. I will try to explain it in a very simple way. In this technique, they take a particular type of insect, could be a mosquito, which is causing damage to the lives, and bring it to the laboratory, the same variety of mosquito, and create a version or a breed that mosquito into a type which when mates with the another female, it produces offsprings which have no ability to further reproduce. You understand what I mean? So the ability to reproduce further offsprings is stopped by creating these type of insects in a laboratory environment. And then after creating them in the lab environment, these insects are left in a controlled way into the forest or into the area where where they are affecting or where they are causing the damage. And when they mate with the natural other insects, and they produce offsprings that are not capable of producing further children or further further offsprings. So that in that sense, the cycle of reproduction is cut off, and the insect population is drastically reduced. So that's a very interesting technique, and many member states have used this and got rich benefits out of it. And another one is about the diseases in the domain of diseases in terms of radiation such as X-rays, gamma rays. They are used for both diagnosis and treatment purposes. I will not go in detail into this because this is widely known everywhere. We know the radiation treatments being used for both diagnosis and also for treatments for cancer, for example. And the last one here is it's a kind of a receptor binding assay. I'm not sure what exactly that means, but these are some techniques, nuclear application techniques that are used for identifying toxicity caused by harmful algae blooms that happens in when the sea situation suddenly changes. So this is mainly to predict kind of a flooding or some heavy rain that is going to happen by analyzing this type of changes happening in some animals or plants. Yeah. Further, this is some more examples here, and you can see the cultural heritage, how to preserve, paintings which are 100 years or 200 years old. Some parasites may be causing some damage, and the quality of paintings may be getting deteriorated. So to prevent these radiation techniques, radiation is being applied in a controlled manner to kill those parasites and enhance the life of this type of heritage paintings and so on. And water is one of the important aspects in nuclear applications work. And by using isotope techniques, the water samples in the groundwater, for example, they can analyze and find out how much of the groundwater is from the rain, or how old is it? Is it coming from some streams far away, or is it coming from a local lake or something? So to trace the roots of the water and also to find out solutions how to sustain those water resources for a longer time, isotope techniques are used. This is very demanding technique by many of the African countries, because they need this water is a very precious substance in many countries there. I will move on because we have limited time. There are many examples. I just listed here many things. Now, coming to the nuclear energy, you know that about today, 10% of the global electricity is coming from nuclear. That's a low carbon electricity. And the sad part of it is still 1 billion people have no access to electricity. Almost 1/7 of the world doesn't have access to the electricity. And also 1 billion people have no health care due to energy poverty. We call the another term energy. Because there is no energy, there are no good medical facilities available. So nuclear can play a very good role in alleviating both these situations. So today we have 440 power reactors operating in 32 countries, and 50 reactors are under construction, and almost 2/3 is in Asia, and about 30 countries are considering to introduce nuclear power. This is the current situation for new nuclear energy program. And also the IAEA is also supporting coordinated research activities. This is very important. I think Canada is a partner to some of these very critical activities. When they want to do a high-end research, member states of the IAEA come together, and then they work together on a specific nuclear application or nuclear energy related projects, and they share the outputs among all the countries. So in this way, the human resources and financial resources are substantially reduced for doing the research, and the benefits of doing this research is shared effectively by many countries. So we have, I think, more than 180 active projects going on now. And the another area is the research reactors. The commercial reactors are only about 30 countries or 32 countries are having commercial nuclear power plants. But research reactors, more than 100 countries have research reactors. Even some universities have research reactors. And the IAEA has been supporting those countries to safely run these research reactors and also use them effectively for their applications. We also do some support to the nuclear fusion. We have collaboration with the fusion community in different parts of the world. And okay, moving on about the security and nuclear safety and security. As I told you, this is one of the important areas for IAEA, and member states are looking at IAEA as the highest level organization in the world for getting the safety standards or security standards, and also guidance for maintaining those safety standards, or to achieve those safety standards. Okay. And there are some legal instruments, and I'm not going to go deep into that, both binding instruments and non-binding instruments. And binding means which is the member state is is binding to that agreement, and non-binding means the member state is non-binding to that legal instrument. So, for example, in case of assistance needed, in case of an emergencies or accidents, there are binding instruments available to support. The IAEA supports the member states in case of an accidental situation to come out of those situations. And as I told you, an IAEA is a resource partner for in terms of safety and security requirements by providing safety standards and also security guidance. And also we provide them to build capacities. When we say capacity building, it is the safety capacity building, the capacity to maintain the safety infrastructure within the country. For example, creating a robust regulatory framework within the country. And we also provide some peer reviews and advisory services to find out the gaps in their programs and also help them to improve or close those gaps by providing some advisory services. And continuing on safety and security, we also have an incident and emergency preparedness center. It's run 24/7 basis, and we have Many of the member states are voluntarily signed for working with the IAEA through this Incident and Emergency Center, and through which, if there is an accident happening in some part of the world, the IAEA monitors the situation and helps the member state with the infrastructure, with the support available, technical support available within IAEA and also from other member states, and we channel these guidance and these resources in case of an emergency situation to the affected member state. And also, one of the important thing is to tell authentic information. In case of accidents or incidents, many times the fear factor is one of the important aspects that cause a lot of damage than the real accidental situation. So we need to provide very authentic and accurate information to the public. So IAEA acts as a nodal agency to provide authentic information in case of accidental situations. And we also help the safety of nuclear installations, and including the radiation and transport of safety, and also the management of radioactive waste. Safeguards and verification, as I told you, one of the most important activities for which the IAEA was formed, and the statute authorizes the IAEA to establish and administer safeguards. The main idea is to deter the proliferation of nuclear weapons. The IAEA provides early detection and of the misuse of the nuclear material. The idea is it's a more like a preventive action. So the safeguards activities are aimed at identifying actions that may lead to proliferation of weapons in the future. So that is the idea of to give a credible assurance to the international community that states are honoring their safeguards obligations to use the nuclear material and other non-nuclear related items subjected to the safeguards or only for the peaceful purposes. Okay, I will skip this. This is a lot of information. There are many legal instruments and agreements between the member states and IAEA to put these safeguards and verification in place. They are they're called comprehensive safeguards agreements. There are additional protocols. These are essentially instruments to make sure that the safeguards and verification is done in an agreed manner. And to give you an idea of how much volume of work we do in terms of safeguards and verification, and in 1 year, approximately, the data shown here in 2019, we have done 2,953 inspections worldwide. It's a lot, and 13,140 days the inspectors were on field to do all these inspections. So that can tell you the volume of work that we do here. And nuclear material and safeguards. The amount of material the safeguards department is looking at is can have a potential of producing more than 216,000 nuclear explosive devices. That means you can imagine the amount of threat in store. So if you don't do this verification, it can be a huge disaster to the peace of the world. So technical cooperation program, as I told you, this is a vehicle we use to take the technology to the member states. And you can see here the picture, the various developmental activities that are happening in the member states through this technical cooperation program. And what we are doing through the TC technical cooperation is mainly, we conduct trainings. We also send people from developing countries which need technologies or new applications in terms of fellowships and scientific visits. Fellowships and scientific visits are like 1 month, 2 months, or sometimes 6 months. Visit to another laboratory or a research facility to learn those skills and knowledge. And Canada has been a good host, and they trained many people from the African and Asian countries on specific areas. And we also, the TC program also supply the member states with some equipments and materials that are needed for nuclear research and applications. And conferences, training workshops, and expert assistance are also part of these services. Interest in nuclear power, coming to nuclear power, you know, the IAEA statute authorizes us to work on the development and practical application of atomic energy for peaceful purposes. So to that effect, if any country wanted to develop a nuclear power program, the IAEA has developed a milestone approach, which works like this. It looks at 19 infrastructure issues that are needed for effectively developing a nuclear energy program, including creation of regulatory infrastructure, human resource development programs, and many, the grid system that can support a nuclear power development. So there are 19 issues this milestone document deals with, and the IAEA delivers both peer reviews, services, and also advisory services to move from milestone 1 to milestone 3 shown here. Milestone 1 is a situation where the member state is ready to make a knowledgeable commitment to a nuclear power program. And then milestone 2 is when they are ready to invite bids and negotiate a contract for the first nuclear power plant. And finally, when they are ready to commission and operate the first nuclear power. So the 19 infrastructure issues in milestone 1 to milestone 2 to milestone 3 is supported by IAEA through various services. Okay, and as I talked about you earlier, we give the peer review services and also the guidance and good practices. We also support the operating power plants, not only the newcomers, we also support the NPP operators for any technical or plant life management or fuel related issues. There are a nuclear engineering department, which is a sister organization of my section. So they support all these type of activities for operating nuclear power plants. And also the IAEA is collaborating with the world nuclear vendors or nuclear development organizations for the new nuclear development in terms of advanced reactors, including generation 4 or the SMRs type of reactors. There are a lot of activities going on in the IAEA in collaboration with member states for the development and exploitation of these new advanced reactors. There is also one important area the IAEA works is the energy planning. Many countries come and ask us, is nuclear good for us? How can we say in terms of using metrics? There is a nuclear the planning and economic section. We have this again another sister section with me, and they have some tools which help member states to understand in terms of numbers how nuclear is useful for them. It also looks at other options like wind or solar. What type of energy resource is more optimum for a country by inputting information into this energy planning tool. And this service is also provided to member states to understand their priorities and needs and what works well for them. And INIS is the nuclear information system or the library. We have one of the best libraries for nuclear science and technology in the world. And I strongly encourage this young nuclear generation of people to visit this INIS site. At the end, I'm given all the links to go to all these IAEA resources. It's a very, very useful, technical information. And a large resource of information available here in a very organized manner. And also we support the member states for their human resource development, whether it is for the first nuclear power plant or for nuclear applications. There are a lot of programs. The IAEA helps the member states to develop their human resources and also for the nuclear energy programs. And to tell you that we also support, starting from the front end of the fuel cycle, from uranium mining to fuel production to the nuclear power plant operation, and also the safe disposal of the nuclear waste, and including the decommissioning and environmental remediation. The complete fuel cycle, the IAEA has been collaborating with member states and support the development of these activities. So that's the end of my presentation here, and this is the last slide. I've given you some links. You can access the IAEA resources here for more information. And I will leave the copy of this presentation with Vishesh, and I will ask him to share it with all of you, and you will get access to this. So with that, I want to thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I will take it up now.
And perfect, Ashok. Thanks for that presentation and sharing the overview of what IAEA does. So a lot of things you guys do. I'm sure we have lots of questions. So two ways to ask the questions. Again, feel free to post it in the chat or just use the raise your hand tool in MS Teams, and I will call you on to ask your question. I got one for you already here, Ashok.
Yep.
And the question is, how is the IAEA promoting nuclear as a safe, clean, and green source of energy? And the concept is basically in the political landscape, nuclear energy is viewed as being not safe or as not green.
Okay. Thank you for that questions. Yeah, it's a very good question. And before I answer this question, I wanted to tell you that yes. So here you can see here in this slide 25, the IAEA statute authorizes us to work on the development and practical application of atomic energy for peaceful purposes, including the production of electric power. As the Center for Global Cooperation in the Nuclear Field, we help countries to use nuclear power safely and securely. So this is the statement the IAEA as Director General has made by quoting the IAEA statute. But having said that, but one of the important things is it is up to the individual member state to go for nuclear or not. We do not tell them that, yes, nuclear, you must go for nuclear, this is good for you. No, we tell them the positive effects, positive sides of the nuclear, and also the liabilities, or the what are the precautions you need to take, what are the commitments you need to have in terms of the government, and also what infrastructure you need to establish to manage such a nuclear energy program. We tell all these things, and the final decision to go for nuclear lies with the member state. So this means the IAEA tells the right knowledge or the correct information in terms of nuclear safety and in terms of how nuclear is beneficial to them, through our workshops, through our conferences, and also through many bilateral possibilities that exist between the member state and the IAEA. But the final decision is done by them. Yeah. I hope that gives some idea on how we promote safe and sustainable nuclear energy around the world. Okay.
Thanks for answering this question, Ashok. I see Arif, you have your hand raised, so I'll ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, perfect. Thanks. Ashok, thank you again for this great presentation. My question is, given the current world events, what are the IAEA's biggest challenge when it comes to inspections and safeguards, given the current climate in Ukraine and the power plant there?
Okay. In terms of Ukraine, now this is a war-like situation, and we see in the news that the Russian forces are occupying the Ukrainian nuclear power plant site, the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant site, one of the biggest in the European region. It puts a lot of pressure to the people who are working there. So that's a key. So nuclear, I myself I was an operator, or I was also working in nuclear power plant for more than 2.5 decades. So I know if there is a lot of people around my nuclear power plant compound with military guns and things, my mindset, how it is, it's definitely a threat to the nuclear safety. That's the reason our Director General has been raising his voice in the highest levels, and seeking the international support for bringing the safe situation into these nuclear power plants of Ukraine. And he has been negotiating with both the parties, the Ukraine also with the Russians, to send the IAEA team there to find out the real situation there. It's not so easy to go there because the war is happening, the safety of the inspectors or the people going there. But he wanted to send them very safely after ensuring that both the parties involved in the war are agreeing to that situation. And so a lot is happening to make sure that the plant is safe. Coming to the security aspect or the non-proliferation which is your question. The nuclear material, if suppose the plant is plant boundaries are always there is a what do you call the physical protection system. There is a physical protection system around the nuclear power plant. So when there is a lot of people entering like this, whether it is military people or people involved in the war, so the security is breached there. So what happens to the nuclear materials there? So we need to make sure, the IAEA needs to make sure that the materials present in the nuclear power plant are safely stored there, and it is not going into the wrong hands and then leading to nuclear security related issues. So this is also one of the most important aspects of the mission that our Director General wants to conduct there in Ukraine, and make sure that the nuclear material present in the nuclear power plant in Zaporozhye is safe and not used by other people. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for asking that question, Arif. That's great. So feel free to, we got maybe 5 more minutes for questions before we wrap up. So feel free to add it to the chat or raise your hand. I just got one in the meantime for myself, Ashok. You mentioned in your presentation 30 countries, 30 new countries considering nuclear power. So how close are these 30 countries to adding nuclear as part of their electricity generation fleet?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So in terms of if you look at the 30 countries, we say the milestone 1, milestone 2, and milestone 3. So if I look at those 30 countries, most of them are in this milestone 1 or just before milestone 1, milestone 0. So very few countries are in either milestone 2 or milestone 3. What's happening is, it's not easy to get into the nuclear energy program so quickly, mainly because it needs a political commitment. If a country does not have a strong political commitment, and if there is a change of leadership within 5 years, let's say a new government comes and then they say, no, nuclear, we don't want. For example, Malaysia, is a country which developed a nuclear power program, and they spend a lot of money and resources. And for 10 years, more than 10 years, they created very good infrastructure. But a new political party came and then they said no nuclear. I know the case same with Vietnam. So what is happening here is the true picture is very few countries in milestone 2 or milestone 3. In the recent situation, if you see, UAE is one country which has gone to milestone 3. And other countries which are seriously pursuing and moving towards milestone 2 and 3 is like Turkey is one of the countries, and Egypt is another country. Bangladesh is another country that's going in that direction. And there are a couple of African countries that are very keen to start these in the milestone 1 area, like Ghana or somebody, but we need to wait and watch how they're going. There is also a considerable interest for them to go for SMRs, because SMRs are now the talk of the town everywhere, and many countries are interested in that, including Poland, for example, is also looking at options for going into the SMR route. But I don't have an exact number, but I can tell you that the number is very less in the milestone 2 and 3, but more in milestone 1 range. Yeah.
No, perfect. That's helpful. Thanks for answering that, Ashok. We got 2 more hands raised, so these would be the last 2 questions, just in the interest of time. I don't know who raised their hand first, but I'll ask Curtis to go first.
Okay, thanks. My question is regarding safeguards. So if the IAEA finds a state is not compliant with the safeguards requirements, what actions can be taken after to pressure them into compliance? Does the IAEA have tools, or would they just report the non-compliance and maybe the member states would impose sanctions or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes. So if the safeguards as a protocol, for country specific protocols they have when we go to a country, let's say if a country has a nuclear power plant and many research facilities, there are protocols to check what is to be checked, where to put the cameras, and what type of inspection is being done. So the program of inspection for every year is established based on these agreements and protocols signed within a country. So during this inspection, if the IAEA finds some, let's say, deviations, or if you suspect that some activities are happening which are not convincing to us, the first thing is we have to discuss with the member states. So we found this. So what is your answer? So many times the reason for finding such material could be a legitimate action. It may not be due to a malified intention or malified action. So in that situation, the issue is closed. But if we do not get a proper answer, if we do not get the information accurately, then it is reported to the governing board. I told you the two policy making organs in my slide, if you remember. Here the board of governors and the general conference. So if the non-compliance is so significant and it needs the attention of the international audience, so it is brought here, and then it is escalated to the general conference, and further actions are taken in consultation with the other member states and the members. Okay.
Thanks, Curtis. And last question, I'll leave for Gurpreet. Gurpreet, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? I see you have your hand raised. That's okay. So maybe it's, oh, he unraised his hand. That's fine. With that, Ashok, appreciate you coming in and presenting to us today. So very glad that we got an overview of what the IAEA does. And I know it's probably 7 o'clock for you, so dinner time for you now. So enjoy your lunch, your dinner and lunch for us. And just a couple of, I'll share my screen because we have a couple more exciting events that's coming this week that you can attend. So I'll share my screen and I'll just take 2 minutes. The slideshow. Okay, so basically today was a great learning session with the IAEA. We got 2 more coming this week. So we got a lunch and learn with Connectrix tomorrow. So that will be again from noon to 1 p.m. Ontario time, and that will be about nuclear innovation, a bit about new technologies. It will also be about carrier advice, and that will be with Dr. Sriram. So I will send that presentation to you, so you'll have the QR code if you want to sign up for this. And on Wednesday, we have a project management session with the PMI to explain if you want to sign up with PMI and a couple of questions, common questions that people have. So this is being organized by NAYG and Chalk River. So they were very happy to extend it to the NAYG and Durham membership as well. And next one is a blood donation. So we're doing a blood donation drive, and we're starting that on Monday, this coming Monday. And for the next 2 weeks, basically, you could go to any Canadian Blood Services location, donate the blood. Every donation results in 3 lives saved. And basically, NEYGN Durham is partnering with NEYGN Boost and NEYGN Chalk River to do this very noble initiative. So if you are interested, you can scan the QR code right now, or I'll send you that in a presentation, and you can sign up. I will have the details of what to do. And last thing, I spoke about opportunities to get involved with us. So if that was your first NEYGN event or the first time you heard about us, welcome again. So ways to get involved and to register first to be part of our emailing list where you'll know of these events that we have. Email us at neygendurham@obg.com and also register at neygn.org. And if you want to get involved in a more leadership role with the organization, there are plenty of opportunities to join different committees. So you can reach out to me. You'll have my email once I send the presentation, and then happy to chat about that. So with that, I'll conclude the session, and thanks again for everyone who joined. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vishesh. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Ashok.
Bye to all. Bye-bye.